So expression is the combination of operators and operands. Okay. For example, 2 plus 2. Now this is an expression, but here in this expression, now 2 is an operand and positive sign that has been placed between 2 is an operator. Okay. So these are different operations. You can say that operations in mathematics, that is addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, these are different operations in mathematics. So in C program here, we call this operator, and then the numbers that are used to perform the operation, that is known as the operands. Okay, you should know the difference between the operator and operand. So such type of statements, or you can say values, are called the expression. Expression is divided into two parts. The operands are of two types: constants, for example 1, 2, 3, etc. Variable, for example ABC. Okay, there are two types of expressions. Expressions divided into two parts. Okay, operands and operators. Operands are of two types. They're constant, for example, the numbers, and then there can be variables like ABC, okay? So now we have operators. So any special symbol or computer program that performs a specific task is called the operator. For example, addition is a task, multiplication is a task, subtraction is a task, division is a task. So these are the different tasks that computers can perform, and they're known as operators, okay? Or you can say operations. Okay, so types of operator: unary operator and binary operator. Unary operator needs a single value, for example -5, +9, you can etc. etc. Okay, binary operator needs two values, for example 2 minus 2, 2 divided by 2, 5 multiplied by 5, etc. So this example mentioned here is a binary operator. Okay, so now we have types of operators, as I've told you guys, like arithmetic operators, relational operators, and logical operators. Okay, arithmetic is pretty simple. That's something you guys have been using in your previous grades, like addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, percentage, equality sign. Okay, then we have relational operators and logical operators that we're going to be discussing later on. Okay, so priority means that in equation, what value will first solve? Okay, this is, you guys, super important, because when you're doing your C program functions, so you would have to come across such type of things, and you should be keeping these in mind. And according to my point of view, this topic is pretty important, because you should know that in equation, what kind of value will solve first. So as you guys have came across the BORDMAS, that's like a short form to remember what value will solve first, and these are some rules that we use in basic mathematics as well. Okay, so in the equation, C solve first those values which are enclosed in the brackets. Okay, so first in the C program, it's gonna store those values that have been in the brackets. So first the bracket, the priority of these three is the same, but C solves that operator first, which is to the most left side in. Okay, so now those values in these three, those value that is most to the left side in the equation, that's going to be solving first. There's no rocket science in it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so now we have the priority of these two are same, but C solves that one first, which is to the most left side. Okay, C program, you should remember that it solves the value from the left side. So those value that is closer to the left side, that's going to be solving that first. Okay, last priority is of equal. We know some signs that for what purpose they are used, but equal and brackets we cannot know. Now we discuss one by one. Okay, this sign is used to find the remainder of the two values in a division. You know the remainder in the two values. Okay, now if you're using this percent d, it's going to give you the remainder value. For example, 5 divided by 2 is equals to 2.5, but when we put percent sign, then the answer is going to be 1. Okay, that's because it shows the remainder, right? So now, because it shows the remainder, it cannot be applied on a float. On using percent, the sign of the remainder is always same as the sign of the number. Okay, so does -5 divided by 2 yields -1, where 5 divided by -2 will yield 1, equals to, this sign is used to assign value to variable. If you want to assign any value to some memory location or variable, we use the equal sign. Okay, so now you have come across the difference between the percentage and this one division. Okay, so it's gonna give you remainder. Okay, just always keep that in your mind. Okay, so now, for example, we have this, so we are assigning values to it. These are some examples that you can consider, that what in C program, what value or what operation has to be solved first. So this is something you can consider for yourself. As you can see, first it has been like multiplied and then divided by 4, and this is same, this is the same, and then this is the same. Then it has been given the value, and then you can just go on like this. Okay, so in the above equation, 6 divided by 4 gives 1 and not 1.5, because both are integer value, right? 6 divided by 4, it gives 1, although it's 1.5. It is an integer value, so that's why it won't give a float to you guys, because you have defined an integer data type into that. Okay, and 5 divided by 8 gives 0, because these both are also integer value. Look, it gives 0. Maybe it's something 0 point something, but as you have defined the data type integer, so it's gonna give you an integer value. Okay, now to convert some algebraic expressions. Okay, you guys can consider this for your understanding, that the expressions that we used in the mathematics, general, like basic mathematics, and how can you use those mathematical expressions in the C program. Okay, so now as you can see, A multiplied by B, so we use A steric B. Okay, so this is some C expressions that in mathematics we use this multiplication sign, but in C expression we use the steric as a multiplication sign, and then the negative is just the same, and then for addition it's the same. For multiplication we use the steric, and then for 3 multiplied by x into x. So this is how you can do like 3 steric x, that's going to give us x squared, and then multiply by 3, or you can say steric 3, it's going to give us 3 multiplied by x squared. Okay, now the addition sign is the same, 2 multiplied by steric x plus is the same, and then 5. Okay, so now here it goes the same. The division has converted into a slash, and then d plus operator is the same. Okay, so now you can use the 2 multiplied by b multiplied by y. You can just see it, it's pretty simple, there's no rocket science in it. Okay, now we have expression mode. Okay, there are 3 modes of expression actually. The integer mode that I have told you guys in the previous video as well. We have float, and then we have mixed mode. Okay, integer mode, that has just integer mode. Like for example, 8 divided by 2, it's gonna give us integer. 9 plus 36, these are the integer, right? The float, it must have a decimal point, like 5.1 divided by 8.9, or 89.56 multiplied by 58.89, etc. These are the float mode, right? It must have a decimal point using some operands or operations to perform, for example, multiplication, division, or addition, subtraction, etc. Okay, now we have a mixed mode. So that has both the integer and float values. So this is a mixed mode. Okay, now we have some expression conversions to Okay, so now an operation between integer and real always yield a result in the real. Okay, so these are the expressions that you can consider if you're using two integer operations. You're doing an operation between two integer values, so it's going to give you an integer output. If you're doing between like real, or you can say float value, so it's going to give you an output float. And if you're doing between an integer and a float or real, it's obviously going to give you a real value. That's really obvious, okay? So you can consider this table for your understanding. As you're doing both the integer, 5 divided by 2 is going to give you 2. And then we have these different operations, okay? If you're using a float and an integer, it's going to give you float, okay? So this is something you can consider. Now we have type conversion in assignments, okay? So observe the result of the arithmetic statements shown in the figure. It has been assumed that k is an integer and a is a real variable. Okay, so this is an integer, k, and then this is a it's a real variable, okay? It's going to give us something in points, right? So k is equals to 2 divided by 9. This table is actually defining you guys the difference between the float and the integer. Float will always have a decimal point, but the integer won't have any decimal point. As you can see, these are all the float values and this is all the integer values, okay? So this is the basic difference that has been clarified in this table. Now we have the essence of data we studied or we were studying later, okay? So this is something, the table that we have discussed in the previous videos as well. You can go watch that about the format specifier, okay? So that's it for today, you guys. We have studied about the expression, the different modes, how expression works, and the priority of the operators, which values has to solve first, and we have studied that the values that is most to the left side, that's going to be considered by the C program